y'all. Hopefully you can hear me over my truck. I accidentally left the door open on the Z all night and it killed the battery. So I have the truck over here with the jumper cables kind of charging the battery. But about a couple of weeks ago, I posted a video of me going around with the thermometer around the engine, taking temperature readings, because the Z was saying it was getting hot, but I discovered that the gauge was reading anywhere between 10 to 70 degrees hotter than what the engine actually is, and I concluded that the engine was not overheating. Well, I was driving to work the other day and it overheated. Not too bad to where it was pinging or anything, but it was definitely steaming out of the overflow pretty well. So yeah, this car does get hot. Just going around looking at ways to kind of fix it, because I think what the problem is there's a lot of rust scale in this engine. Rust is an insulator for both electricity and temperature, and bits could be floating around in there, getting to the radiator, messing up what the radiator is doing. So I was going around looking at the solutions, and I did order a specific chemical for that. But other people suggested just drain out all the coolant, flush it out with water, putting some white distilled vinegar in it with some distilled water, let it run for a couple hours, or sitting in there for a couple hours, then drain it out and put the antifreeze back in there. I'm gonna do a combination of that. I'm gonna put the vinegar in here, let it run for a little bit, because vinegar is kind of aggressive. It'll be like I said, a couple hours. Then after I get all that done, I'm gonna flush it out again, put the actual chemical in here, and let that sit in here for a couple of days, kind of whatever leftover rust bits or metal that's untreated, it gets treated and converted to iron, hydroxide, whatever it's called. And hopefully that fixes the overheating situation, because I do not have a thermostat in here, because I wasn't sure if a flow was a problem, and it's still getting hot. Normally when we take out the thermostat, it gets a little bit warm, like say the needle is at 100, it might go like 120 degrees and stop there, it won't get hot at all. But this is sitting like around 200 degrees. Then, like I said, it got hot enough to where it was starting to steam out of the overflow and technically overheating. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get a catch can underneath, pull the petcock off. I'm gonna try to first I'm gonna try to move it up my driveway to let the car sit low level instead of nose down. That when I put the vinegar and water in here, take out all the air bubbles. But I'm gonna drain this system out, pull the lower radiator hose out, the upper radiator hose off the engine. That way, it kind of show you what it looks like inside there. And stick the hose in there, let it run for a while, clear out everything inside the engine and everything inside the radiator, and it'll kind of come out backwards. That's something I'll have. So yeah, that's the plan. Let me try to get this thing started first. Sitting on the truck for about 5 minutes. Hopefully it's got enough juice to actually crank it over. I don't have the cold start valve hooked up on this thing, so cold starts are kind of a pain in the ass on this engine. But hopefully it's got enough juice in the battery now to get it started, and I'll let it run for a little while and back it up. I'll probably pull the battery out, put it on my charger once I get it up and over the hill. And yeah, so without further ado, let me go ahead and get this thing moved. Let's see in just a second. Alright, so I got the car moved up the hill. Started up no problem out there a little bit, so that's good. First thing I want to do is pull this radiator cap off. Now, I did do a coolant flush on it at work, but it was still getting a little hot on the way home. So yeah, it's a little warm, so it is going to spill a little bit. There's a little bit of pressure in there, but yeah, that antifreeze was green when we flushed it out. Now it's starting to look kind of orange, so there's definitely some rust in here still, even though I flushed it with the hose, granted, with the hose. several times before. But as you see, if you look in here, you can see it's clear and green. This is orange and green, so definitely not good. So like I said, I'm gonna pull the valve off the radiator, pull this hose off, stick the hose in there, and let water cycle through it. So I get all the antifreeze out. I like to put the water in. Underneath the radiator is a Pepcot right here. It's a little valve you just undo. And as you can see, it's not looking too happy. So yeah, we'll let that drain out for a while, then I'll get back to you once it's done. Alright, so I'll pull the radiator hose off of it. As you can see, there's a bunch of rust in my aluminum radiator, which is interesting. But this is mainly what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see it too well. But yeah, there's definitely some boo-boo in there. And like I said, there's no thermostat in it. And also, like I said, I'm going to stick the hose into here. The water's going to go through the whole system, kind of clean, get all the antifreeze out. So I don't want the antifreeze mixing with the vinegar as much as possible. And it's also going to fill up the radiator and come out top here. That way, it's going the wrong way, I think. Yeah, because the water goes in from the bottom up the top and then out this way, so the water will go the opposite way what normally would. At least that's the theory anyway. So let me go ahead and get this hose in there. I also got to change this thing out too. But I'm gonna go get the hose in there, let it run for a couple minutes, get it all out, and get back to you when it's all done. I'll leave that part of it done. There's also the inside of the hose. As you see, it's got quite a bit of rust in there, like a lot of rust. I don't know if all that's going to get all cleaned out. The bottom hose is brand new, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, so I'm hoping all that will get cleaned out too. So a lot of that's probably a big reason why I'm having my problems. Since, like I said, rust is an insulator. So without further ado, let me get the hose in there, show you what I'm doing, and get it going. See y'all in just a second once I get all that set up. Alright, so I got the hose in there, crammed in. I got a little rag kind of keeping the hose in the engine. It's water's flowing the opposite way it's supposed to go. But not with a lot of pressure, but you know. I'll put the plug in at the bottom, that way all the stuff kind of floats up to the top and goes out. And all the antifreeze is pretty much out of the engine now. Now it's just the water circling through it. As you see, there's a bunch of bubbles and specks coming up here. The bubbles are, of course, probably from turbulence in the water. But, yeah. So I'm going to let it sit like this for a couple minutes. Then I'm going to let it turn it off, let it all drain out again. I'll start putting the vinegar in there. Now I'll show you what the coolant that's literally only like 3 days old looks like. Like, when I say 3 days old, I'm legitimately saying 3 days old. And why I'm having so much issues with this thing getting hot. Anyway, let me let this run for a little while longer. And I'll chime back in when it's done. Well, when I'm ready to put the vinegar in there. Vinegar and distilled water, to be specific. Alright, so I got pretty much the engine all flushed out. I let the hose water drain out of it, mostly. There's always going to be a little bit left in the engine. I'm not too worried about it. Got the upper radiator hose back on. And I'm getting ready to add the vinegar and distilled water. So this is what I got. I just got regular Winn-Dixie brand water, or Grocers. Got 3 gallons here. This cooling system is a little bit under 2 gallons. I'm going to do something close to like a 3-to-1 mix or 2-to-1 mix. where I have only put like a half gallon of vinegar in there, and the rest with the water. And the vinegar is supposed to help eat up all that rust, like 90% of it. Then I'm gonna let it run and sit in the engine for a few hours, and hopefully it doesn't eat my freeze plugs up. If it does, I got extra freeze plugs from when I did that one. But yeah, I'm gonna let it run in the engine, get up to temp, turn it off, let it sit for a while. Then when the other stuff comes in, that's when I'm gonna drain it all out, do the same thing with the hose, then put the chemical in, then with the distilled water, and let that sit in here for a couple of days, probably till next week. Then I'm gonna drain it out again and fill up with the natural coolant. That should be the end of that. Hopefully that'll be the end of that, and hopefully that temperature sensor starts reading properly. Anyway, let me go ahead and get the vinegar and water in there, let it run for a while, then yeah, should be all good after that. See y'all once I get it running and all that. Hopefully that battery's still somewhat charged. I haven't put it on the charger like I was supposed to, but not really worried about that. That's a cheap battery anyway. I'm not too worried about it. Anyway, see y'all in just a second. I'm gonna tell you how the flame was messed with the fan. But as you see, I got it running again all together. I got the water and vinegar in, and already you can see a lot of garbage in the funnel. I'm pulling the air out of it, but you already see a bunch of garbage in the funnel. So yeah, that shows you how nasty this system is, the cooling system is. The funny thing is, to pull the valve cover off, it's not that bad in there. It looks almost brand new in there. Like this engine was maintained relatively well throughout its life, but something must have gone with the cooling system, because that looks pretty nasty. It's about done bubbling. Not really taking any more. Squeezing the hose, not really taking any more water, so I'm pretty sure it's got all the air bubbles out of it. The note is slightly up higher than the rest of the engine. Of course, that's the highest point, so all the air is going to naturally go to there. Give it a couple more minutes. And, yeah, I'm just going to let it run for a while, get up to it's hot until I want to go. Now that it's overheating. Yeah, I'm going to let it sit in the engine. I'm going to turn it off, let it sit in the engine and the radiator for a while, hopefully heat up all that stuff again. And once other chemical comes in, I'll drain it out, put the chemical in there, and etc. Anyway, in case y'all want to know what the coolant looks like, this is a 3-day old coolant, and I mean 3 days. This is coolant I just put in there from work, and yeah, it literally looks like it's been sitting in the car for like 30 years. So yeah, this system is pretty disgusting. Anyway, I'll put the radiator cap on it. That way it builds up pressure and all that, and after it gets warm. I'll get back to you once I'm ready to put the other chemical in there. I'll let you know what the chemical is, etc. It is funny how the primary is almost synced up with the radiator fan. Anyway, see y'all in just a second. Alrighty, so far I had the Z run for about 10 minutes or so. Granted, it was just idling. I haven't really messed with it. I put some flex tape across the windshield because I had a little bit of fiberglass that someone tried to put on the passion poles I was flapping around. And also kind of help with some leaks. It looks awful. I'm kind of embarrassed by it, but whatever. It's temporary. But anyway, that's not the point. Already, the temperature has not moved up past that spot. That's about where I expect it to be without a thermostat. Not really getting up to temperature like that. We'll let it run a little bit longer. Probably move it up and down the punctured it a couple times to kind of get some RPM in it, to get some, hopefully get some pressure in it too. So I want to try to get if there's any blockages in the system, I kind of want to get those cleared out. That way, when I put the actual chemical in there, or treatment in it, whatever you want to call it, it will actually do its job on everything. Good news is I don't see no leaks coming from any of the freeze plugs. They got a little bit of an oil that comes from the oil filter because someone stuck a Fram on this thing way back before I bought it, but I'll deal with that later. It's about due for an oil change anyway. Yeah, let me go ahead and get this run this up and down the street a couple times, kind of like I said, get some RPM in it, get some load on it. And I'll come back to you once get ready to drain it out with the other stuff in here. Like I said, I'm gonna turn it off, let it kind of come cool back off, mainly so I don't burn myself when I take the vinegar and stuff out of it, like all milk, but mostly so it gets time for the vinegar to do its thing. So I'll see you in just a second. So I drove it around the neighborhood for a couple times, and that's as hell as it got. That's about what I expect with without a thermostat, somewhere around that area. Now I'm going to turn it off, let it cool down all the way, and then once the other stuff comes in, that's when I'll back it back up to where it was, drain it out again, flush it out with the water hose again, get all that vinegar out. Then I'll put the other stuff in there, and that stuff is going to stay in the engine for a couple days, maybe about a week. That way it's got time for it to actually do its thing, convert the rust to like actual metal again, and that's basically it. So I'll see you when that happens. This is the next day. It got a little late yesterday and it started raining, so I wasn't able to film. Put the other stuff in. Well, this is the other stuff I'm using. It's Thermacure. It's made by the same company as Evaporex, so this stuff should be pretty decent. Basically, this whole thing, say with the treat up to 3 gallons, a 3-gallon coolant system. Coolant system on this is, like I said, a little bit over 2 gallons, so or right around 2 gallons, so it's perfect. You pour all this in after you do the flush, get all the boo-boo out. In my case, it was the vinegar and water. You pour this whole container in. It goes in like a milky white color. Then you put your distilled water in there. You let it sit in there for a couple days. And this was turning like a dark gray, blackish color. Because I think this stuff has like phosphoric acid in it or something like that. Yeah, and you let it do its thing, drain out after a couple of days, and you flush it out a couple times. Then you put your coolant in it, and it should be all good. So yeah, this stuff's on Amazon for like $15. If it doesn't work right, then whatever, no big deal. It's not that much money. I believe the vinegar treatment probably did most of the work. Is kind of just to top it off and make sure it's everything's all set. I'm just heat cycling the car right now to keep the stuff moving around, because I don't think it's really good to let this stuff sit. One thing is, the stuff that tends to not really clean out hoses that well, or the stuff off the side of hoses. I'm not that concerned. Like I said, the blower radiator hose on this is practically brand new. The upper radiator hose isn't, but you know, I go to replace that later on. And yeah, so that's basically this stuff. When I get ready to actually drain this out, probably Thursday. Today's Thursday, so probably next Thursday. That's probably when I'm going to be ready to drain it out, do the flush, and just put distilled water in it for a while. I don't want to put coolant in it until I know that it doesn't turn orange after a couple days. So yeah, so I'm just heat cycling the car right now to make sure, get it going, get to have this stuff activated. And yeah, so I'll see y'all when I'm ready to flush this stuff out. About a week from now. So see you when it's done. Alright, quick update, guys. This is August, August 29th. It's a Wednesday. Sunday. And when the last I left off, I just said I put the stuff in the radiator, the rust reformer stuff, the Thermocure, and I have it on my driveway, and I had to hit slant because I had an air pocket in there that I just got out. And so far, that's what it's looking like. The stuff is supposed to turn like a black greenish color when it's converting the rust inside the engine to I want to say iron phosphate. You know, the stuff that like rust reformer painter spray does to metal. I think it's a similar situation on how it works. Either way, it's, as you see, I've had this car running for about an hour now, just on the driveway trying to get air bubbles out of it, and that's where the temperature is staying. No, there's no thermostat in this car yet. I want to do that once I'm sure that I don't have any overheating problems. With a thermostat, will bring it like right exactly in the middle. So this is about normal what I'm going to see without the thermostat. I don't have a heater core in this car, so I'm not really too worried about thermostat, and I'm also not worried about emissions because I live in Florida, and even then I'm pretty sure this car will fail. So I think this car is running a tad bit rich, especially around like 4,200 RPMs. I think it's running a little too rich. I have an idea of what's causing that. I have a fix for it. I'm just a little too lazy right now to fix that because it's very mild. It's just a mild inconvenience. I just used a little bit more gas than I'm supposed to. I think that's partially why my idle is a little bit high. But like I said, I'll worry about that later. So yeah, that's basically an update for now. Like I said, Thursday is when I'm going to drain this stuff out of the radiator, do another flush on it with the hose. Then I'm think I'm going to run a little bit of distilled water in it. No. Yeah, I'm going to flush it out with the hose, get all this stuff out of there as much as I can. Then I'm going to put like legitimate coolant in it. Like some cheap coolant in it. Run around for a while, check it. See, it's not turning orange on me like the other stuff did. Then I will drain it off a little bit. Put the new thermostat in because I got one. Once I know for sure that I don't have an overheating problem due to rust. Air pockets is one thing, but rust is a whole other thing. And I'll put the new thermostat in there, then call it fixed. I'll either drive this thing to work again. Anyway, that's the update. We'll see you when I get ready to drain this stuff out. Like I said, the next Thursday coming up. I just want to make sure the stuff does its job in the engine and gets rid of like 99% of that rust. I believe the coolant should take care of the rest of it. Like I said, I ran the vinegar in it for a while, for about a day, to break off a lot of the heavy stuff. And this stuff is just kind of like chipping down at all the little light stuff. And I didn't want to leave the vinegar in there because I'm not sure it's going to hurt my radiator or not. Because the radiator is aluminum with the aluminum head and an iron block. I didn't know if they're going to talk well with each other. So that's why I only did a vinegar treatment for a couple hours. Then, well, a few hours, practically a whole day. And I drained it out, drained everything out, flushed it out for a little while, then I'll put this stuff in there. Like I said, this stuff goes in like a milky white color. I want to say kind of like when you poop. I want to say like very, very thin milk, like that type of color, maybe a little bit less. Or say you just finished a glass of milk and you're getting ready to rinse it out, you pour the water in it, it kind of looks like that when you put it in the radiator. And as you see, it's like a greenish, blackish color now. So this stuff is pretty much spent. I'm just letting it do its thing for a while. That's basically it right now. I'm getting ready to turn it off, put the cap back on, back to sing all the rest of the way down my driveway. Then yeah, that's about it. So I'll see y'all in the next clip when I'm ready to drain it. Alrighty, so here's another thing I want to just throw in here. I just pulled the funnel off the top of the radiator, and you can see all the residue left back by that stuff. I believe all that's the rust that's kind of suspended in the fluid. That's why you need to flush this thing out after you get done doing the treatment. So yeah, like I said, it's just a really thin coat. I can take my finger and rub it on there, and you can kind of see on my finger. Yeah, allegedly this stuff's biodegradable. That's what it says on the package, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, just figure I'd throw that in there. Yeah, like I said, that's why they tell you to flush it out a couple times before you put the coolant in there. Anyway, see y'all when I get ready to drain this stuff. I think I said it like 4 times already. But anyway, yeah. Alright, so it's been about a week, and I was gonna drain the stuff out of the radiator and stuff like that, but I'm not gonna do that yet because one thing to let you guys know, I sometimes film these videos out of order. I discovered that the head gasket on this car is no good. You look over here on the passenger side, the engine, or the opposite side of the engine, you kind of work in between where the injector cooling fan is, right around cylinder 3 and 4. Seepage coming out from the gasket. That's kind of normal on a car that's been sitting for a while. But I also did a radiator test, a head gasket test, and found out combustion gases were getting into the coolant. So that pretty much means that, yeah, the head gasket on this engine is compromised in some way or another. I think very minorly, but enough to where if I'm trying to drive on the highway for an extended period of time, or driving this car a little hard, that's when overheating starts. If I just sit in the driveway or kind of just put around the neighborhood doing no more like 40 miles an hour, it's fine. So yeah, I'm not going to drain this radiator and stuff out in this video. I'm going to do that when I start doing the head gasket replacing video. I'm also going to change the cylinder head because got a deal on a better head, and yeah, this head is potentially warped as well if I'm in overheating. I doubt it. I'm pretty sure I can torque it back down in place and be fine. But yeah, so that's what's going on with this car. But to kind of elaborate on how to do the rest of the service with that thermocure stuff, you drain it all out of the engine, right? And I would recommend saving that stuff because on the back of the instructions said you could use that to like throw like a wrench in there, and that will also clean up the rust on like a tool or whatever. It is biodegradable, so you can just get rid of it and it'll be fine. But so there's that. I still would recommend taking it to a place to have it recycled, but it is technically biodegradable, so if you spill a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything, surprisingly, allegedly. But yeah, you drain it out and you do the flush on it to get like most of that stuff out. Then you put distilled water in it, run it for a day or two, drain it out, flush it out again, and keep doing that till everything's clean. Then once you see that everything's good, clean, and is not rusting up the water or anything, or you got all that stuff out, then you can put your coolant in there and call it a day. So yeah, anyway, that's basically how that works. Like I said, I'm not going to do it right now because I'm going to be stripping down this engine anyway. I will do something of a flush when I do everything, but when I go to strip everything down, I will do something of a flush. But yeah. So pay attention to the video when I go and start pulling this whole engine apart. It's going to be relatively straightforward because it is an inline 6 engine. The only difficulty would be the exhaust manifold on the driver's side, and you do need a special tool to, I mean, you can always take the timing cover off and get the timing chain out, but they do sell a tool that goes down in between the timing chain with the timing chain guides that kind of hold the tensioner in place, so you don't knock this engine out of time. But other than that, yeah, that's about it. Y'all know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. My username will be in the description. And be safe out